Right. Well, like the way our defense played, obviously. Think special teams was solid. I think we made strides there. For the one explosive, but I think we made some strides there. But it's obviously painful when you lose a game and don't give up a defensive touchdown. And so we're all trying to figure out how to help that. And we will be working, and like we always have. And I love our guys, and I know that they'll come out on a mission to get better. I know that for a fact. I'll talk about the Jake situation. I guess there's no one that I care for more, have more respect for as a football player and as a person than him. And I've been coaching a long time. But the situation was that we were not doing anything on offense and just trying to create a spark and see if that would work a little bit. Jake Hayner's taken 1,000 reps since the fall, and it was much more about our offense than it was about Jake Browning. Jake played solid. There's always a couple plays you'd like to have back, but he made some very nice throws, and so really that was just about being frustrated with our offense and trying to get something going. But Jake Browning is and always has been our quarterback here.
If it was more about the offense than Jake, why was he the one you chose to take out?
Because everybody else has been taken out before. We've rotated receivers, backs, line, and it's just about doing something. And you got 7 points, and so that's hard for some people to swallow. But like I said, we've been kind of plodding along on offense here for the last few weeks, and not necessarily because of Jake's fault, but you got to try to do something. You got to try some stuff in practice. You're going to try some things in games, and defense is playing really well, and you still think you're going to be able to score more than 10 points no matter who you put in there, and that was the thought behind it.
Why do you think the offense is plodding, as you say?
Yeah, I don't know. We go down on a 17-play drive, and those are painful. That's pretty impressive. 17 plays, and then you score. You'd like to get some explosives in there where, guys break tackles and make some things happen. That's really hard to do. But that just kind of seems to be a little bit who we are right now. And so we're working hard to kind of change that. But for whatever reason, we have a little margin for error.
Browning's going to be your quarterback Saturday?
Absolutely.
Why, when you called him on the sideline, what's the exchange like, and what did you say to him?
I don't know. I don't remember him saying why. I just told him that I'm going to give Hayner a couple series and see what we can do here. If I'm Jake, I'm not liking it either. That's what I love about Jake Browning. That dude's a competitor. I don't care what happens. And so, that's what I just told him. I said, you're going back in, but I'm going to give this guy a couple series.
Chris, on the other side, what was Hayner, did you see that during practice that you see he could bring at that moment?
Yeah, he plays well. He does some very good things in practice every week. And Jake Browning is our quarterback, but Jake Hayner does some different things. He really does. And so I'm just trying to create that spark for our offense. And like I say, it's good for other guys to get reps and in real life situations. And I know everybody's saying that's a tough situation to put a guy. He was itching for it, and there was no hesitation, and made a bad kind of missed the throw. Probably should have came off a little bit. Receiver didn't help him on where he was route wise. Talking about that interception, but we'll all learn from it.
How easy a call was it to kick that field goal on 4th and 10?
Yeah, pretty easy. Yeah. It really wasn't. You're playing those things by how it's kind of going in the game and what that side of, your offense is doing and time left in the game and all those kind of things. And
then for as great as the defense played, you mentioned not giving up a touchdown. The last drive, 51, you think we're going to get the ball back?
I think there's two things, with that as well as they played. And, you hate to even bring it up because they played really, really well, but we'd like to get some turnovers. You know, you're playing, you know, and again, I would say this. I mean, I have a lot of, I mean, obviously Cal does a great job on defense. They have a very good scheme. I mean, their stats back it up, all those type of things. But, I mean, that's why we're talking about, like, one of the things that Cal had been struggling with a little bit is turning the ball over on offense. They didn't turn it over, and we did. So that's an issue. And then they held the ball for, you know, got 2 first downs, 4 minutes and something, killed the game. So you'd love to have, you know, a stop there.
A few times now you've mentioned receivers not helping the quarterback out. Is that a recurring issue?
You know, as much as we throw the ball, there's always going to be those issues a little bit. Kind of comes down to that word that we use all the time, details. And, yeah, I mean, those guys got to be on exactly the same page or there's a problem there. And there was a few times.
Is this the first time that you thought about bringing in Jake during the season, Andrew?
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. I mean, for sure. Like I said, I mean, this is more about our offense than any one player, but I get it when it's the quarterback that's such a big deal. And so, you know, you hesitate on those type of things, and but we've all been there, you know, and you know, you just try to do what you got to do to help your guys.
And no one struggles offensively during the game.
Yeah.
What was the thought process at the end of the half? When there was a 3rd and 21 with Cal and you had your timeouts and maybe you could have tried to get the ball back with a little bit of time left?
Where did they have that ball?
Well, they kicked a field goal eventually and you went.
Yeah. We were talking about that, whether we wanted to take some timeouts right now. Where that discussion was going on, another feel thing that, you know, we didn't do it and worked out for us.
So Hainer does different things. What are those things?
I mean, every guy's going to read things slightly different and throw the ball slightly different, and it is different. I mean, all those quarterbacks that we have are all a little bit unique and different. And Jake Hainer is no different than, you know, those other guys. Everybody has a little uniqueness to the game, and like I said, it's just about trying to create a little spark.
And what were those things that could have made a difference? What did you hope to see from Hainer that didn't work out?
Moving the ball, scoring touchdowns. I mean, that's what we're trying to do, like move the ball better and score touchdowns. I mean, that's what we're talking about, right?
Just letting Jake Browning rip the ball out, kind of like how Hainer did. Hainer seems to just let the ball fly and just not really have as much care. Is that kind of what you want to see, just sometimes have Jake just let it go versus holding on to it,
Well,
make as much of it?
You know, maybe that's what you're talking about a little bit, and just something different. I mean, we always want them to trust the reads. There's a read on every play, and some guys see things a little bit differently, and, you know, might take the ball a different spot than the other guy would. And so, that's kind of what we're talking about with this whole thing.
Remember what it was about that specific moment when you decided to make the change? I think you had $1:56 to go in the 3rd.
Yeah.
But what was it about that exact moment in time that you said, this feels right to do this now?
Well, I didn't want to get deep into the 4th quarter. You know, I just really didn't. And then you look up and you're almost in the 4th quarter and have 7 points. And so you're just trying to do something, you know. And again, I can't emphasize this enough. And I know it seems like, well, why would you do that? To me, this is about our offense and not nearly as much about Jake. Just trying to help something. And, you know, we sit in there every week. Okay, how do we make this thing a little bit better? And we will make progress.
I know you talked a lot about your next man up philosophy. With the quarterback, is it as simple as next man up, or do you have to make some changes given his particular skill set, what he's good at, and given the situation at the time?
I think in that situation, you know, and those guys, you know, are similar type. There's not like one's more of a runner or anything like that. You're going to run the plays that you think can attack the defense.
Some people look at the numbers that conclude that Jake Browning has regressed from sophomore to junior. Does he look like a better quarterback to you than he did a year ago?
I don't know. I don't know about better. I think he does some things better. I think sometimes the numbers can be a little bit deceiving, and certainly the offense is a little bit different when you got a new coordinator and you put different spins on those type of things. But Jake makes a lot of plays, and he makes a lot of good plays, and he made some good plays and some big time throws in that game. We just need to figure out how to help him and this offense score more points.
How do you, at this point in the season, become more explosive?
Yeah, that's a good question, So we'll do everything in our power as coaches when we're attacking, coverages. And then you got to figure out the people you got that are going against their people and try to give yourself a chance. And, we do some stuff where we do throw it down the field. And one time we had something designed where we were going to launch down the field and protection did not hold up, and he has to kind of throw it to a crosser, the ball gets knocked in. So it's, you see the end result, it looks like, well, we're not putting it downfield or the quarterback did, and it's like, it's not that simple.
You mentioned the new coordinator, obviously, and he was here with Jake 2 years ago,
Yeah.
so it's not like a completely new face, but how much of that is just kind of maybe not taken the way that you thought it would, maybe taking some time to get that relationship going?
Yeah, and again, I'm not putting this on any one person because it's not like everybody wants to talk about, the quarterback, everybody wants to talk about the coordinator, everybody wants to talk about the head coach. It's just, it's always a little bit of everything until you get all those pieces kind of going together. We got a handful of guys that, looks pretty good on paper when you start this season with, Miles in the lineup and Chico in the lineup and Quentin Pounds in the lineup and Trey Adams in the lineup and Hunter Bryant in the lineup. I mean, it's a little bit of a lot of things.
You had Miles and Hunter both make the trip Saturday.
Yeah, and they're close.
Guys are going.
They're close.
Was the change in quarterback sending a message to the offense, everybody else?
Trust me, that was way more, and it was way more about the offense than it was about the quarterback, for sure. And it wasn't so much about trying to send a message necessarily to the offense as it was trying to just create something for the offense. But in that ballpark of what you're talking about, yeah.
And because you have changed other players.
We change you change every player. I mean, we've changed every player across the line, the scrimmage, tight ends, but that position is different. I mean, we're not acting like it's not. And so you try to, be careful with that whole situation. But I also know, the one thing I also know, Jake Browning's, he's the toughest guy in the room. He can take it. He will be fine. Does he like it? Is he irritated as all get? Yeah. But he won't go in the tank. He won't back down.
And based on your experience with him, what tells you that's?
I know that guy. I know him inside and out. I know, I've seen him. We've been through a lot together. We've been a lot that we've gone through in the last 4 years.
Seeing if some of your red zone issues on offense been too. You guys have gotten there a lot.
Yeah. Perplexing and frustrating as all get out. And we've tried a bunch of different answers, and we just need to get into a better rhythm somehow, some way. That's probably the best way to describe it, is just kind of lack of rhythm on that. And at times we are in a good rhythm, and at times it looks really easy, and at times it's like thing here, thing there, and we are well aware. And we gotta create the situations a little bit better in practice and call some things over and over, I think.
To Miles Gaskin, you talked about obviously wanting to be, mindful of the future, his future, and all that stuff after the game Saturday. Is that something where during the week, not knowing the nature of the injury, but is that something where he's trying to talk to you about trying to convince you to play, or are you day to day just kind of seeing?
Yeah, I mean he's a day to day guy, but that goes to the doctors and trainers. I mean, always. With the players, input for sure on how they're feeling. But I mean, at the end of the day, it's those situations there, and we're not gonna, if we don't think it's best to put a guy in there, we're not gonna do that.
The interception on the second drive.
Yeah.
Is he just trying to throw that away, and do you need maybe a little bit more from Fuller on that play?
Absolutely. Yes and yes. I think yes and yes. There's a little bit of miscommunication. I think Aaron thought he was going to take off and scramble, and so he hesitated on that. And it was very subtle how Jake kind of moved and read that. So I think he read that as he was going to go, and he pulled off, and the DB didn't. And then Jake, I think, was trying to throw it out, push it out of bounds late, and didn't turn out good.
Is there any thoughts you'd go to more tempo on offense this year?
What's that?
Is there been any thought to go to more tempo on offense this year? I know you guys have pulled.
There's been a lot of thoughts. There really have. Yeah, there has been.
And then the play before the field goal, 3rd and goal from the 10, it looks like he's trying to throw it away again and almost gets picked off. I think he's going to McGrew in the corner.
Yep.
Is that another just?
No, that's not on him. We got to give him better answers.
Okay.
Yep.
I mean, it's always several things, I know, but can you pinpoint something to attribute your guys' drop-off and kickoff coverage this year too?
Well, I think one thing, I think there's maybe 2 things. You get late into the season, and our kickoff team looks significantly different than maybe it did early on. That's how it always goes. You get certain bodies dinged up, certain guys are taking a lot of reps that were on that you may need to pull out and get some younger guys going. And then it's very, very hard to replicate in practice because we do spend a decent amount of time on it, believe it or not. And so, it's amazing. I mean, those 2 we had a couple new guys on there that were covering really well, reading where the return was supposed to go. Like any good returner, he aborts the return where it's supposed to go because there's a hole right there because the guys are reading it so hard. They're doing a great job of reading indicators, and there's a big seam there. And so, live and learn. That won't happen again to those 2 guys. But
Is there any concern about how that area is being coached at all?
absolutely. Every area on our team is always concerned about how it's being coached. So, for sure.
How would you characterize the mood of the team coming out of that game Saturday? Fired up? I mean, just
Coming into the game?
like today, for example.
Yeah. You tell me.
Angry?
All those things. Disappointed, depressed, angry. I mean, yeah. These things are way bigger to us than they are to you guys. And you guys are probably the next most that really are, this is your jobs and all that. And I can't emphasize enough how, painful, people don't get it. And I can't say that loud enough. So.
You still control your own destiny for the North.
Yeah, it's not even worth talking about, I've said it forever. We control everything. We control our happiness. We control how we practice. We control our improvement, all those things. And so that's just always the message. And even if we didn't control anything, even if we had nothing, no games, weren't going, I would expect us to okay, how are we going to get better? That's who we are in our core.
Stanford. What do you see from Bryce Love that just hasn't been able to get going this year? How different is that offense with him?
Well, I think last week he was looking like the Bryce Love that I knew last year. And I haven't really seen Stanford up to this week. I haven't looked at much of anything. But I know he's one of those guys that has breakaway speed, but he's deceptively strong. He just breaks tackles, and I saw that again in that Stanford game. He can change the game.
Stanford is about 38 points, 3 out of the last 4 games on defense. How much is there a chance? What have you seen from their defense, and how much is there a chance maybe to get the offense going this weekend?
Their defense, I think they have some really good players. There's some guys that really flash. It's different than it was last year. They have some younger guys in there that, flash quite a bit. I think those guys are on the upward trend for sure. But I know those Stanford teams, how they play. They're tough. They're hard-nosed. They get better. They compete their tail off. And I know how this game will be. It'll be a tough fight for sure.
Since you know Browning so well, what can you reasonably expect in a week's time that would be different?
Yeah, I don't know about that, but I know how he's going to work, and I know how he attacks every week, and I know he was sitting in there in the film room when I just walked over here, that doesn't change. He doesn't flinch. And I know he'll do everything in his power to, help us all get better. and the little things that he can do to help improve his game, and he's going to do that. That's all we can ask.
Good.
Do you expect Trey Adams to play this season?
I don't know about that. He's a ways away.